Hello and welcome to episode 26 of our Timberborn Update 7 Iron Teeth Project 1K playthrough here, cycle 50 days 17, 13.8 days left in this current bad tide, and the game is still paused. And if you saw last episode, you absolutely know why. It's because we have 821 water, we have 112 beavers, and these pumps are inaccessible for water. We only have these four right here that don't even have a connection to the outside world yet. So I'm not unpausing this until we've implemented our strategic survival plan, which I'm going to talk about right now. Obviously, these ladders have to be built, and then these four pumps are going to be the only way we can get any water. I think if we do this correctly, we should be able to not lose a single beaver to dying of thirst. We might lose them to other means, but we're not going to lose them to dying of thirst. So I cannot prioritize these by haulers yet because they aren't connected to the path network, so we'll have to wait on this. But there's other stuff we can do, and I liked a lot of the ideas you guys gave. So first off, let's go in here, go to goods tracing, goods consumption, and then see what is using water. As expected, coffee. I mean, these aren't using that much, but we're going to go ahead and hit pause. Then we're going to hit pause on both of the fluid dumps as well. We have tons of food. We have tons of ingredients. If everything on the map dies, we are going to be just fine. We cannot, repeat, cannot allow a single drop to be wasted, or else we're going to be in some deep stuff. So, other stuff we can do, we already have all of these. If we unpause them and allow each one to get all the way to the end and then hit pause again, it should theoretically be possible for these guys to survive even if every beaver dies. They can just be reborn out of the ashes, so to speak, and I think that's going to be what we end up doing, but we're not going to focus on that yet because there's still other stuff we have to do. Now, what's causing the beavers to live as long as they are? It's the well-being. We have, and it's not tremendous, but we do have a pretty decent well-being. If we can manage to lower that, they'll live less time, and they'll die sooner, which means less mouths to feed, and then, we won't have as big of a problem. So, realistically, there's probably not a ton we can remove without things getting just really stupid. But before we start removing anything, let's take a look at one of the beavers, just at random, right here. This guy's well-being is 27. That's pretty good. That is a plus 60% life expectancy, just at 27. If it was 26, it'd be down to 40%, which is, that's a pretty big amount to remove. If we click on somebody else, who else? 17. Because this guy's got an injury and doesn't have as much recreation, but I think based on the average of 23, it's probably going to be fine if we just, take a couple of points away. So, taking a look at this again, we get a plus 2 for the clock. That seems kind of outsized. And also, that's an easy thing to get rid of. But the frog statue, that's a plus 4 if everybody's got it. So, the single biggest impact we can have without messing up supply chains is to get rid of the frog statue, I'm pretty sure. But let's just go ahead and take a look. Yeah, we just have the one, and it is right here. So, forgive me, but the frog statue's got to go. That's going to be the single biggest thing we can get rid of. There's also clocks. That's a plus 2. If the clock goes away, then that's going to help us out tremendously. That clock also goes away. And I'm pretty sure there isn't another clock somewhere else, but I guess we can check. Or that would be under aesthetics. That wouldn't be showing up here anyway. Well, I actually don't know how to look at that. Well, never mind. I guess probably the only way we could really check and see is if I come over here with this clock and look for anything, but I don't think that's there. So, as of right now, the clock is plus 2. The frog statue is plus 3.6. So we've removed plus 5.6. So let's just call it plus 6. That should help just a little bit, and those are going to be real easy to put back in. Not a problem. The rest of this, I don't want to mess with food because obviously, and this is just going to be what it's going to be. I think that's going to be good enough for now, but we're not going to unpause just yet because we have a couple other things we can do. We talked about this with the advanced breeding pods. we need to do this again at some point anyway, so why don't we go ahead, go all the way to the bottom of the map, because we have all this space that's not being used. We've got a pretty decent access to, well, most of the map. We have all this space over here, like I said, that's not being used. What if we just put in a bunch of breeding pods, and I mean a bunch, and got them to just build these and stuff them full of berries and extract, which do not consume water, by the way. Not a one. And then we can have part of an army of beavers ready to go, even if we don't need it for this exact moment here, where we're trying to do crisis recovery prevention. We'll use them eventually. So I will just go ahead and put in something like this. Oh, I have the automation mod that I had for one of those colony reviews. I forgot to disable it. I don't plan on using it, but that's why that's there, in case you were wondering. Let's just put a bunch of these guys in here. They will get to it eventually, and we do have treated planks, so that's not going to be a problem. This will just be a nice project for them to mess with in the meantime. So, coming back to this is basically as low as we could build these and still have them be usable immediately. And there's 4 of them. I don't think that there's going to be a reasonable way for us to build anything else in here, but we are going to keep an eye on it, because this doesn't go all the way down. There's a good 2, maybe 3 layers beneath this that will still have water that just aren't accessible right now. And if we're going to take advantage of that, we'd have to have another way of getting in here, which, seeing how this is not currently full, I think that would be somewhat possible. We can also come in from one of these holes here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put in the absolute last resort platforms here. So we got a double, we got a triple. That should give us our +6. And then if I do overhangs like this, I should be able to pop in deep water pumps here, 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 and here. That would then go, if we take this all the way down, all the way to the very bottom, which, yes, this will be underwater, but if we also allow them to build this while they're pumping out of here, we have plenty of beavers currently. That's not going to be the case later. But if we let them do that, I think we're going to be in a pretty good situation. And of course, we're going to want to have access as close as possible with a ladder. So let's pop this guy right here. And that's going to be pretty important. I think, I would like to believe that we can make it without, I guess, quote-unquote, cheesing the breeding pods to, you know, revive the colony from the ashes, but we're going to plan for it anyway. That being said, I do think this is going to be a little bit more important, so what I'm going to do is come back down here. I'm going to deprioritize the construction of all of these things in hopes that they will come over here and build the ladder to get to these pumps and then these guys. So I'm going to prioritize, super prioritize. Oh, those already are. Good. And then I will just regular prioritize the rest of this. As long as I have the ability to make that happen, I think that's going to be just fine. All right, so that should take care of our water acquisition. I think the amount of water we have here should be okay. We might be okay. And now that we've paused everything that uses water, we've made sure that nothing can possibly use a single additional drop. I don't want to build pumps on these things because I think at that point you're really only going to get like 50 water out of it, maybe. And we can just leave it alone. But let's take a look. I know it's agony. This hasn't been unpaused yet. We're going to get there. Right now, only 3 beavers are thirsty. That's really good, because the beavers have a pretty decent amount of time after they take a drink before it actually kills them to not have any more water. 2.5, 3 days. And yeah, I know we have 14 days here, so let's go ahead, unpause, put this on triple speed, and then we've got to unpause all of these guys just to advance it as much as possible. Keep an eye on what is and is not close to being finished. And then we just have to, you know, do what we got to do. These two looking good. Yeah, so we're going to be watching these two, and then the rest of these are going to take the time they're going to take. This one will be next. Nope, I can't click. So, yes, I am going to time-lapse this. I know this is not the most exciting way to go about doing this, but it would bore you guys to tears. This is probably going to take, 90 seconds on triple speed per day, like another 40 minutes to get through this. But I believe it's possible. I think I've come up with a good plan. I think they can do it. And I'm not going to make you sit through that in real time because there is other stuff that I'd like to do in this episode. So I will be babysitting this. I will be checking on all of the construction over there for the pumps. And we're going to do our best to make sure every beaver has an opportunity to survive. That's the kind of colony I want to have. But at any rate, you're about to find out if it was successful. I don't know yet. But here's hoping. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, folks. I think we're going to be fine. We got 100 water, which is alarming, yes, and these have stopped pumping because there's nothing left for them to pump. But these 4 have at least a block and a third worth of pumping, which should keep the rest of these beavers alive. The crops, not so much. Pine trees would be fine. Soybeans, little baby boys over here, couldn't handle more than like 1 millisecond of a half of a microsecond fraction of any slight less than 100% irrigation because they're terrible crops, and they died immediately. But berry bushes are looking okay. The coffee bushes are looking okay. Corn's going to be dead soon. Like we said, the soybeans are absolutely worthless and they're dead. But this corn's okay because this is still technically irrigated. So where does that leave us now? Well, the map looks pretty desolate. We did accidentally birth a beaver. I don't really know how that happened because I thought I was doing a good job of keeping these paused, but I guess I missed this one, which, okay. But we're down to 93 beavers. We have 1.8 days left, and we have enough water, even if they stop pumping right now, to keep all of the beavers thirst-free for at least one more day. Theoretically. Just about. Or at least until day 30, which would be the final day of the bad tide. But I think we probably handled that about as best as we could have. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to do next. And we spent a pretty decent amount of time last episode talking about our reservoir idea. And the more comments I read and the more I thought about it, I really don't think we need to start the reservoir on the top level of dirt. It's just advantageous to think that way because, well, that's what we'd been kind of going for the whole time. But, especially because we want to have mangroves at some point, if we have the actual reservoir start at the top, but grow some mangroves down here, that might actually be the best way to go about doing it. And since it's, well, I'm not going to say obvious, but pretty likely that we don't have a large number of deaths due to thirst, I think we can start working on the rest of that. Now, this obviously is not a very good situation to find ourselves in with the deep water pumps, and we do want to solve that as best as we can. 8 pumps is not going to be enough to sustain a large population of beavers. Now that we know we're not in danger of, complete total devastation, we can come over here and build a couple more of these pumps like I originally wanted to, which is going to require putting in some of these overhangs here. I obviously can't use the 3x here. We're going to have to do the 2x and then put in some other stuff as we have the ability to. Now, because of the ladders here, I'm not going to be able to put 4. I could reconfigure it if I really wanted to, but to be perfectly honest, I don't want to mess with that. So instead, I'm going to just pop in this here, which will get everything connected. We already had this in place. These 3 additional pumps will help. They won't make it perfect, but they will help. And all we have to do is wait another day and a half, and then all of these can get turned back on, and we will have avoided the worst of it. So, where does that leave us here? We already talked about maybe wanting to put the reservoir up here and have, instead of, a level above this, put the mangroves down here, and then we can also just, wipe this whole thing out and redo it if we want. So we're going to have to put in the rest of the dirt for basically all of this before we do anything above. So I realize now I could have done that during this time-lapse portion, but as you know, focusing on just one thing at a time significantly increases my ability to actually accomplish a goal. So, for whatever that's worth, I think that is going to be the strategy that I'm going to have to stick with for basically ever. But we have a tremendous opportunity here to do things the right way. And by the right way, I mean slightly less wrong. So let's just take a moment, let these guys do what they want to do, and move on with the rest. It's so much better when you just take a step back and say, you know what? It's probably not that bad. We can solve this if we use a little bit of critical thinking and don't immediately flip out. Well, I'm sure the beavers are flipping out seeing how little water they have, but we know what's good for them. We know what's going to happen. It's going to be totally fine. I wouldn't let these beavers die without a fight. Please note, I am not the one that is supposed to be fighting them anyway. But, yeah, we'll just leave this on triple speed. I don't even know what I was saying with that. We'll leave this on triple speed. They do still have, believe it or not, a little bit of water to pump. So I guess we can consider this to be a rousing success, folks. But they do need to be building all of the terrain here. We already know that. Since we have access from above, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Just got to let them get in there to, you know, get to work on that. And I guess that's going to be all she wrote for that. But we're not time-lapsing right now anyway, so we might as well just keep a close eye on what else is happening here. I wanted to reduce the population a little bit until we had a better handle on what all our expansion plans were going to be anyway. So that was a little bit of fortuitous timing. I guess we should check and see how long this is going to be until it's done. And I'll just pause it right at the end. Like I said, we're going to need these eventually anyway, so we're going to build it at some point. We might as well make them emergency reserves, and now we're about to have, don't make me commit math, 17, like 20-something of these ready to go. Plus the 9 over there, which we will unpause in stages once it is time to do so, which should be here in just a moment. Yeah. There's not really a reason to space these out during a, well, they're all adults, so we could just have them all come out at the same time. But I like the idea of things being slightly planned. I know, might not seem that way. But here we go. We've got everything. Look how quickly that is filling up. These guys will pretty quickly stop pumping just as soon as that's ready to go. But man, not gonna lie, I'm really proud of this. Not a single beaver died of thirst. And in fact, they really weren't ever thirsty in the first place. Except for a couple of them. So, thank you very much to those who suggested improvements, ways to solve problems. We definitely did solve some problems. And hopefully we don't have to worry about it again. So let's get these paused here. Bring this back all the way up to, yeah, right about here is probably fine. And now these guys can go back to work. Pumping, these need to be, take this out of triple speed, these need to all be prioritized. That is literally the most important job right now, is to get water pumped out and stored somewhere. And you know what we don't have, that I somehow am just now realizing we don't have a single place to store water over here. So these beavers who are pulling the stuff out of here to put it in the tanks have absolutely nowhere to go. And yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that. And I, you know, in my infinite genius, did not make any places for this to be a viable thing to do. So I'm just going to put in a couple of small tanks here and there, just because that's what we have access to. This isn't going to be permanent. It's going to move eventually. We just have to let the process be what the process is going to be. But boy, am I glad this ended up actually being okay. Let's turn the fluid dumps back on. Coffee machine doesn't actually have to be turned back on, but I'm going to turn it back on just so we can have something to do. We got to get some more beavers in here. So these got beavered out. I guess we could put this back on triple speed, and then I think 9 of these pods, when we were at the 23-24 well-being range, was about as much as we needed to sustain most of our workforce. So I'm probably just going to stay with these 9. There's not really that much of a need to stagger them, except not to have spam here in this bottom corner because they come out as adults anyway. So probably fine just to get that going, and then let the rest of it be what it is going to be. But man, how many times do I need to say it? How happy I am that this did not go as poorly as it could have? I don't know, but I'm glad it did not go as poorly as it could have. What a nightmare that would have been. Well, it would have made good content at least. Except for the people that would then say it's fake, which is incredibly annoying. But I digress. Let's go ahead and pop in the rest of our... Nope, not there. Pop in the rest of our dirt on this level, and then we can just keep on going from there. This, of course, needs to be built out, but that is... that's more of a problem for later once we get rid of all the rest of that. I am just... How many times am I going to say it? I don't know. Probably a lot. I'm glad this worked. That was going to be a terrible, terrible, terrible thing to happen to our series here. So that... Might as well just go ahead and get all those. Alright, so the population's on the mend. We will eventually have everything completely taken care of, fixed, so on, so forth. But yes, we need to have a larger storage, first of all. Just period, point blank, larger storage, but we also need to have a larger reservoir. And I don't think we're going to be able to accomplish the larger reservoir part of that anytime soon. So instead, we pump. That's what we have to do, is we have to pump. I can, as a kind of emergency thing, I can go ahead and put a couple more of these pumps here. Obviously, that's not super ideal, but it will allow them to pump just a tiny bit more. I think I can get one more here if I just pop in a couple of these platforms just here and here. Obviously, these aren't going to pump bad water. That's not how it works. But it will still be very good for us to have access to this in the meantime. Get those guys in there to do that. Prioritize, so on and so forth. So that gives us 4, 8, 12, 14 pumps, which, if you go by the rule of about 10 beavers per pump, that should be fine, but we want to pump a lot more water than this is going to allow us to do. It just takes time, though, so you know what comes next is we have to come up here and put in some more terrain. I foresee a lot of time-lapsing in our future, but I did want to, at the very least, do a decent bit of this without having it be time-lapsed, just so we can be in a slightly better spot and also not have the episode be entirely time-lapses, because I know a lot of you don't really care for that. But regardless, let's just get the rest of these in here, do what we have to do, and move on from there, one step at a time. Alright, that should be fine there. This is going to have to come off of here, just like that. I probably should have done this way to begin with, but you know how this goes. Alright, it comes in from that side. I'm so glad we have 2100 dirt stored, because this would be miserable to try and do all at once. Would not be fun. I guess I missed this, huh? Okay. I think this should be fine. Let's go ahead and just drag this across. There, that's the wrong spot. There you go. Good job. Alright, so that should help tremendously. Then we only have to do that 2 more times before we can start messing with the mangrove trees. I know, riveting content, but I do think it is smart to start building the actual reservoir up here. So, you know, we have multiple areas that we can build on, and we did say that we're going to be doing as much as we can with this normally, so don't mind me just popping a whole bunch more terrain in, and then at some point I will end up time-lapsing this, but I do think it's important to try to do something without having the time-lapse involved. So you'll notice I'm only building underneath where this reservoir is going to be placed. This is going to be outmoded. It will be removed, but I have to have something to replace it before it goes away, or it's just going to be bad news. And I really do want to have this just completely taken out before I have to worry about putting in a whole bunch more dirt, but I think at this point it's probably going to make more sense to just build whatever I can without messing with it, and then deal with the reservoir being a weird shape, weird size at that point in time, instead of trying to build literally everything around it. So, just bear with me here. We're going to do what we can. It's about all you can do, ever. Just what you can do. Alright, so we got a drought coming. Gonna get, hopefully, more than 800 some water is stored. That's gonna be a problem. But, you know how it goes. Just want to get this laid out a little bit more. That's about as good as that's going to get. Just like that. And, yeah, so they're gonna have to keep putting in a little bit more. We're not going to have any water up here. That has been made abundantly clear this cycle. So we have 1,000 water. We have 88 beavers. Remember, this is hard mode. It's supposed to be. I'm pretty sure I fixed that. So we could be in for some absolute destruction if we don't have enough stuff pumped. And I'm trying to decide if that's going to be a huge problem or not. This, if I prioritize these as supplies, then that should help. Let's see, fill. Just 2 of those should be okay. Let's check our allocations. I got 46. Let's keep this paused. Okay, so we have 1 builder's hut. I guess that's okay. That's fine. We really need to make sure we have a hauling beavers. And I have 10. Okay. Let's see. I think for now I can safely pause the industry, because we're not really building anything that requires this. So that's going to get me some jobs. Industrial lumber mill paused. Don't think we're going to need that many planks for the time being. Gear workshop can be paused. I really only have 1 of those? Huh, okay, well I did say I was going to redo the industrial district, but not today. Not today. That could be a future soon episode, but I really want to take care of this first. Food factories, I don't dare pause that because I'm going to forget. That's not going to be good. We already just have 1 beaver in the mine. Explosives factories can both be paused. 4 dirt excavators obviously need, but they don't have anybody in there anyway except this one. Why is this one pump not prioritized? Which one is this? Ah, okay, that's the newest one. Alright, well that's going to rebalance a little bit. Okay, now we're down to 36. Still have 9 incapacitated. And I guess it's okay to only have the small amount of builders, because we did say we're not going to be messing with this anyway. But the hauling beavers are absolutely, absolutely important. And I should have, you see, this just gets slightly promoted here. Okay, that didn't make a lick of difference. What can I... Centrifuge, how many I have 1,500. Let's pause that. Does that give me anybody in here? It does. Okay, now they're starting to come in. Now they're starting to come in. So I should have 7 or 8 builder beavers. I've got 8. Okay. See, we're getting stuff done. It's not quite the nightmare scenario that I originally thought it might be. But the 1,000 water here is definitely a problem. We may need to pause the stuff again. In fact, oh, I hate to do this. I really do, but for the sake of long-term survival, I think it's worth it. Please note that these have been quote-unquote slightly randomized by the amount of running that they had before they were unpaused, paused, etc. So pausing all of them at the same time will be totally fine. Just we don't want any more beavers. Really don't want any more beavers. But I still need to get this stuff accomplished. So yeah, as long as these guys all pump, which hopefully they can. Hopefully, and the haulers can take care of everything they want to take care of. I think we might be okay. I'm really trying to resist the urge to get bots for this. Just because we're going to have so many beavers by the end, it would be like, well, what was the point even of having bots? But seeing how little water we have here is... As a reminder, the beavers consume 2.121 water per day per beaver. And if we just, for the sake of ease, round up to 100 beavers, that is 212, if you want to be technical, 213, because that 0.1 is still going to be counting here, or 0.001. 213 water per day. We currently have 1,500 water. That is not a lot. That's not a lot of days. That's like a week-ish. And it's hard mode, so we got to have a drought that's 30 days long. Now, we also do have water in the reservoir that can be pumped out. And it's probably going to be okay. But I am a little nervous. Just a little nervous about this. We'll see what happens. But I will go ahead and say that we are going to time-lapse a lot of this terrain construction during the drought. If it is a short one, then the RNG will have smiled upon us and there will be nothing to worry about. If it is a long one, then we could be in for a lot more of the same that we've been dealing with this whole time. We'll see what happens. But in the spirit of, survival, they're working until I'm decided that they're done. 24 hours, just pump as much as they can. And they obviously can keep pumping after the drought starts. That's not an issue. But any, iota of water we can get pumped out before that starts is going to be obviously the best thing we can do here. So let's just see. They're going to be exhausted a little bit after, and, that's just the way it goes. But how many days? 25 days! Okay. All right. It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. We just have to think, not make rash decisions. Food-wise, 5,000 food. I don't want to kill the trees. I really don't want to kill the trees. So let's just think here real quick. These trees down here, because of the bottom of the reservoir, these trees, at least the most of them, will remain irrigated. That's fine. Berry bushes, we have 1,200 berries. It's not the end of the world if these die, but it's going to be really inconvenient. In terms of raw food, beavers consume 2.666 repeating. I don't know why I think of the Leroy Jenkins thing now, but I digress. I have lost my train of thought. We have enough food, regardless, for the whole drought. Should be fine. Especially because we can keep processing all of this, and this will keep going. So I think the right thing to do is to go ahead and pause this fluid dump, and then pause this fluid dump, so we don't waste any more water. We can always splash it if we catch stuff. But I think that's about all we can do. I'm going to keep the breeding pods paused because, to be perfectly honest, I don't want to make any mistakes with too many beavers. So the population will continue to decline. The pumps are maximum priority. And a lot of these jobs are probably not going to be super necessary. But I do need to have dirt. And I do need to make sure that I have enough builders to make stuff. So I guess it's fine. So yeah, at this point you've already seen the time lapse start. I'm going to try to put in as much dirt as I can. We're going to see how things go with the water. It might be a little dicey. Obviously, I'm not going to, fast forward past all that stuff, but hopefully we have some good stuff to talk about here in a little bit. And by the end of today's episode, we can have some sort of reservoir, even if it's not the perfect one at the top, but some sort of reservoir we can start putting additional water into and hopefully not have to worry about this ever again. But you know how it goes. I will see you on the other side. All right, so let's go ahead and come out of the time lapse. We basically solved our problem here. We got 3,000 water. I did pop a couple of these, and by a couple of these, I mean all of these. Let the new beavers out. We're not going to keep all of these unpaused. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have 40-something beavers while we're trying to get a whole bunch of the stuff done, because there's not a whole lot of building going on. You may or may not be surprised to discover. So let's bring this all the way back up. except for the stuff coming over the top. And what's happened now is we're in the process of putting in all of this dirt. We do have dirt, we just need to have some more beavers actually working as builders, which is why you saw me shuffling some stuff around, zooming up and down, turning pumps off that don't have anything to pump. And in fact, these guys don't either, so let's go ahead and get those off, get 4 beavers back to working like they're supposed to. And I was really hoping that this would be in a slightly more advanced stage of completion at this point, but you know how it goes. I really don't want to start redoing this bit without the assurance that it's going to be possible to have water stored up here. And that's why I, paused this, and I took the fluid dump worker out so we didn't have to worry about this water being wasted. But keep in mind, this is already at the top layer of the dirt here. And I wanted to have this be, before we start messing with any of this, wanted to have this be the start of our larger reservoir. Now we can still have that flow basically anywhere we want, we just have to have somewhere for it to go. And unfortunately we don't have enough beavers that can build, because we have a lower population because I was doing damage control. So, what's the saying, no good deed goes unpunished? Well, that's not necessarily a good way to go about looking at life, but sometimes it's accurate, right? So I feel like we're going to have to make some compromises in terms of how stuff is being staffed. But before things get too completely crazy, let's go ahead and just hit pause on all of these, because I know I'm going to forget, and it's going to be bad if I do. So let's just do that. That's good. Oh, hey, there's unexploded stuff I've forgotten about down here. And I know there's others, like we have this right here that needs to go. Just let that be what it's going to be. And now we have a decision to make. First of all, we did talk about putting mangroves in here, and I'm still pretty sure this is high enough. If it's not, then I get to look like an absolute idiot, but oh, cool. That is actually perfect. Let's not commit to doing that yet. Not like they could plant it anyway, even if they wanted to. But I was hoping that this was going to be done, because that would have made stuff so much easier. Instead, I have 35 vacancies, and I'm pretty sure most of them are in builders' huts. We do have the 4 beaver builders, and we have the district center, so we have 8. But we're going to need more than that, and I'm hesitant to shut off a whole bunch of stuff. Just gotta be careful. Now, we have 20 hauling beavers, which, that's pretty good. But we don't need 20 hauling beavers if we only have 70 to begin with. So I'm going to deprioritize this hauling post. And then see, because I don't want to mess too much with the builder's hut's priority. So I do think I can get away with doing these guys as medium priority or middle priority, and then see, we don't even have that many lumberjacks anyway. Let's, just for the sake of trying to make sure stuff doesn't go completely terrible, do that. And then I think the dirt excavators don't all need to be running, so why don't we go ahead and hit pause on a few of those. We have 1,600 dirt. I think it's going to be okay. That gives us 8 more beavers who can be construction workers, and hopefully that's going to allow them to take care of putting in more of this dirt. And look at that, it's just flying in place. So now that we know that's a thing, before anything else matters, we have to be able to elevate water, clean or dirty, all the way up if possible. And the only way to get that to happen is to pressurize, quote-unquote, these water sources here, which is going to require that this goes all the way up. So we will have to get rid of this bit of dirt here, and this column is just going to have to go as high as we possibly can. That can spill over the top for whatever. But that's also going to mean, unfortunately, that this bit of tubeway is going to have to go somewhere else. And it's not really that big of a deal, because we do have most of this completed. But before we do that, remember, everything has an order in which it must be done or bad things happen. So I'm going to need to build out this. I don't need to, I want to. build out as much of the rest of this as I possibly can before it becomes an absolute impossibility. So that shouldn't be too big of an ask. We'll just try to get this as reasonably accomplished as possible. And again, it's mostly just in this immediate area here that I should be worried about, but you know how this goes. It's not so easy to just focus on one thing when you know there's a billion fires that need to be put out and you're the only one who's trained on using the fire extinguisher, because it's a single-player game with a couple thousand people in the comments saying, hey, you should have done that. And then, okay, well, you can figure out how to log into this thing, go right ahead. But all jokes aside, we do need to just get this accomplished as fast as possible, because we'll have possibly as little as 6 or 7 days on the other side of this end of the drought. And, you know, stuff's going well here, but there is a limit to what we can reasonably accomplish. All that being said, stop saying all that being said. Yes, I know. Oh, no, we have... Oh, both of these are going to have to go away. Because this is covering... Well, let's just go ahead and get all of this done first, now that we know that that is a absolute necessity crisis mode thing. I think they can do most of this without the rest of it being put in place. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Wow, I had not thought that was going to be that big of an issue. Well, live and learn. But we can build some of this, and by some of this I mean vanishingly little of it. We can do some of it without it being a tremendously horrible thing. I guess we just have to be in maximum efficiency mode and put in only what is absolutely strictly necessary. And I really don't want to build in front of this. We're about to have water come out of it. That should be the last bit that goes in. Oh, we're going to be cutting this real close. And honestly, probably shouldn't have even tried to do it this way. But you know how this goes. As long as we can get these bits here taken care of, then we're going to be okay. But I need to make sure... Okay, that's attached there. That's attached to there. So when I get rid of these things, and it's going to have to be starting with this one and this one. Boy, that's going to be a lot of stuff down on the ground. That's going to be a fun problem to solve. But at least we have water, and we have some stored up. I was very worried about that. Seems like it's doing okay. Just going to have to think of some other ways to solve problems here. Especially because now I have 29 vacancies and we're not having any pumping occur. I suppose I'm going to have these going. I should have had more beavers. I really should have had more beavers. Oh well. Less mouths to feed. Fewer mouths to feed. Because it is a finite number. Or non-finite. You know what I meant. The beaver quantity will be lower, which means that we don't have to have quite as many working to feed or water them. We're just about done getting this in place here. Just about. And I think they can reach the rest of this, or at least the bits that matter, without these two being here. Come on, come on, come on. Get this in here. Let's go. Let's get this done, because I've got stuff that's going to be terrible if this isn't finished. Alright, no, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to have to. This is going to... Wow, look at all these pieces this is going to get rid of. If I get rid of this. I just have to... I can't do it. I have to wait for those last 6 to go. I know it's day 2. I know we've got vanishingly little time. Come on. Come on. Last 2. Last 2. Last 1. Alright, done. That's a lot of stuff right there. Alright, one piece at a time. One piece at a time. Alright, and then we will get rid of this all the way down to... Because that's where that has to go up. I guess... You know, actually, we could have kept a lot of this. I'm now realizing. Well, they can build this. They can't build this. So to get that done, I know. Look, I know. I hear your cries. I hear your agony. I don't share in most of it because I have the idea in my head that you can't see yet. but I think we're gonna be okay. Just give me this. Give me this one moment here. It doesn't have to be super high. It just has to exist. It's what I am attempting to convince myself is possible. Most important thing is that we store up enough water to survive 30 days, which with 78 beavers is, excuse me while I commit math, or while I commit math, I mean my phone commits math. Not all of us can be super geniuses. 2.121 water per day. So 169.68 water per day. Why did you convert that to fractions? Stop that. 30 days. Oh, jeez. Okay, 5,100 water. That's that's our target. That's our target to have, and we can store almost all of that. So I'm gonna say that's good enough. I'm gonna say that's what we work with, and just let it be what it's going to be. I now realize I could have and should have left this two-way in place because I don't have to have that corner. So shaving a haircut, you got it. I will reluctantly place that back because I made bad choices. Too far from a district cannot be reached. Yeah, okay, cry about it. We're in this together, and that's what matters. For better or for worse, that is what matters. Okay, these coffee bushes are going to die in 2.2 days, and I guess that means I need to turn the fluid dump back on. Just to splash these things. I was really hoping that this wasn't going to come to this, but it is what it is. Nothing can ever be quick. Well, I guess it could be if I was better at planning, but you know how this goes. Just gotta let them get to what they're going to get to, I guess. See, these aren't prioritized. That's fixed. I really... what do you mean it's too far from a district? Is that because I got rid of the station? No, the station's here. Don't tell me that this isn't connected to anything. That can't possibly be. Okay, how did I disconnect this? There's your problem. Okay, how do I solve this problem? Because... okay, they can reach that. Alright, we have to hit pause. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not that sorry. This... I don't know how this has happened, but it's happened. That's embarrassing. Basic stuff. Basic stuff. Alright, so they can get to here, which means there is a way to get to here. I just have to give them a ladder or something. At this point, I like feel genuinely bad that I messed this up, because now this is no longer entertaining. Oh well, life goes on. I just need to get them in here to do that. Now, there's no chance this is going to be done at this point. But we can at least kind of start, I suppose. Now, we may run into an issue starting to build this with wood. We only have 1,200 wood storage, and I have told a lot of these beavers not to do anything, and by that I mean not to be born, because I didn't want to have to worry about feeding them. Or watering them, rather. So now I guess we get to play the fun game of how can I min-max everything without it being completely terrible. And now the episode's getting long, so we're going to have to do something quick. At least we have water. And at least we have food. And at least these things seem to be doing some degree of well. We're starting to run out of dirt. Which is a problem, but it's not a terrible problem. It's just a problem. Yeah, we're going to have to end this pretty soon here, because now I'm starting to feel bad about this. And that doesn't make for quality stuff. Can't spend too much time worrying about things like that. But if we get the ladders set up, we can get these guys in here, blast these things out, put the tube-ways in, start the process of building the big elevation shaft for this thing. And then we can also map out how this is going to look. Now, I did say that I wasn't going to have the entire reservoir be up here. But what I probably should have specified was that my original vision for this was that this very top dirt level would be where the mangroves were going to go. Now that we've established we can easily put them down here, once we put some additional dams in, This entire area up here can be all water, and this doesn't extend far enough yet for that to really be viable, but we have the ability to put these things anyway. So this will allow us to get most of what we want to get done without having access to any of this. We just have to get them to place all of this stuff here. They can build entirely from above. Should not be an issue. And as long as we don't need to get around the corner here, we can actually enclose this for the time being. Plank situation, I got almost 1,000, but I still want to get rid of those. We can actually combine... Oh, don't get stuck in here, though. That's going to be the easiest way to tilt me. Let's just hopefully make that impossible. I guess I'll pause that one so we don't have an absolute bumbling idiot get stuck here. Alright. B for boom? Okay. See, what I should have done a long time ago was actually have this... Oh, come on. Let me click on this. Ah. Where's your problem? That needs to be... Okay, drought approaching. It's fine. It's fine. It's kind of not fine, but it's going to have to be fine, you know. Oh, I don't want that there. It's just going to have to be what it's going to have to be. So we're not going to have this done. Is what it is. But we have a decent amount of water. And I'm just going to have to go ahead. How many times have I said go ahead this episode? I'm sure someone will let me know. Going to need to build some more water storage, which I don't really have a great place to put it. But this is never going to be wet again, so you know what that means. If it's temporary, but we need to have it anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Just pop that mess in here. Just let it be what it's going to be. It's another 1,200 water. It's going to keep our beavers alive. And that's going to be good enough. So guess what? Now that's a priority. Get that thing built expeditiously. Set it for water, and that should bring our capacity up to about 6,000, which is more than 5,900 last time I checked. So that is something to be celebrated, however minor that may be. Well, it's not all bad news, folks, because what this is going to allow us to do, being a drought instead of a bad tide, is to actually finish constructing the full height extension, whatever you want to call it. And that is going to probably have to be a project for next episode, because at this point this is going to be super, super long in a way that nobody likes. Except, you know, the 0.01% of you people who are like, I live, breathe, eat, sleep, and all of the other activities for super long beaver episodes. I want you to know that I care about you. I also want you to know that it is okay to do other things with your free time. But I'm always going to be happy to see you here. So that will get us to a decent start. Obviously, we have to wall up in front of here, so this just keeps going up and 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 up, and then I forget how to say the word up because my mouth has decided to betray me. And then life just goes on. So I'm going to have to, for the benefit of all of the beavers, insist that this be the end of the episode at the end of the drought approach. And then we'll just have to move on from there. But we've gotten a decent amount of stuff done here. There's just stuff we have to figure out that is going to require a little bit of thought, and I'm sure you guys have opinions on that. I always welcome those. But for what this episode could have been, I think it turned out very well. Could have been an absolute catastrophe. Easily could have been an absolute catastrophe, and we averted it. So before we say goodbye, let's just take a look. There's none of these trees are being cut. I know that's because I don't have those guys working. Let's turn some of these back on. Lumberjack flags. Oh, they are on. They're just deprioritized. Okay. That was a choice that I made. Let's randomly change some of those back. Well, as the beaver numbers will increase, we do need to put the well-being things back. That's what we can do. That is absolutely what we can do. Frog statue. Back. Clock. Is that where the face is? Does it matter? Yes. Okay. That's fine there. And then there was another one over here. I guess in that exact spot. That's probably fine. That has the clock facing the correct way. Okay, that's going to have to be good enough. Oh, there wasn't a clock over here. All right. Do I have a space to put it? No, I do not, but that is something we can fix as well. Just pop that in right there. That is, no one's going to see that, but it doesn't matter. Okay, we got 0.3 days left. We have no wood because nobody has bothered to go cut it because I have them doing other stuff. Got 3,700 water. They're not going to be able to pump too much more than that. But we have all of this ready to go. We can continue pumping during the drought. I think it's going to be fine. So, this is where we end the episode. I know I said this like 5 times now, but I'm looking at OBS and it says 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 31 seconds, and I am afraid that it's going to be very long when I condense all the time lapses. If not, then, well, sorry, it's a short episode, but we survived, and that is the most important thing. I was fairly certain this was going to be a colony wipe, and we're going to have to just hang on by the skin of our reproduction pods. So, that's an unpleasant image. So I appreciate you guys sticking with it. Surprisingly, nobody was really angry in the comments about me being stupid, so I do appreciate your trust in the process, because I was a little worried. But I really do appreciate your support of this series. Beard Boosters also directly subsidizing the activities here, making it possible to just have fun playing with beavers on the internet and not have to worry about, you know, trying to sell sponsorships or whatever. Just having a fun time and being, hopefully, a little bit of a positive environment in a world that so desperately needs it right now. But at the end of the day, I'm just a guy playing with beavers on the internet, and we get to hang out and have a fun time for an hour once a day. And that's fine, too, if that's all that is. But I digress. This is well and truly way more than I should even be yapping at the end of the episode. So we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you back in this series on Tuesday. If you got ideas, let me hear them. Because I think we have an opportunity to make this work just a slight bit better. But that's going to have to wait. Have a fun time. Stay safe. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.